Hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing about where and having, where we exactly need to use where condition and where we need to exactly use having condition, and what can happen if we misplace these two in the query, right? We generally see people using where and condition, where and having conditions interchangeably. Instead of where, if we use having in any SQL query, that may give correct result sometime, but in many cases that will give incorrect result because both have distinct feature and we should not be using one with other one. And in one of my projects, I have seen this scenario where a code was written with a having condition without instead of the where condition, and it has resulted in the misplace of the data. I mean, where the data was showing incorrect and the business has reported this, and we after looking in all the stored procedures, then we came to know that it was this logical mistake that was done by some developer, that instead of where condition, the having condition was used. I'll show an example as well where it will look very correct for the person who quickly reviews the code. But if we take a look in a deeper level, we'll easily identify that this is not the correct approach we need to follow. Okay, and moreover, it's not a syntax mistake. So the SQL compiler, it will not show any error for that if we use having instead of where condition. But logically, that's a very big mistake, and it can show the variance in numbers in a huge number. Right, let us start with the topic now. As we all know, where and having conditions we use for filtering, and the other having we use for doing the grouping of aggregations, aggregated columns, right? If I want to take an example of a apple factory, like let us suppose we are working in an apple factory where all the ripen, unripened apples are there, and we want to pack them in a box and we'll just ship it to some other countries. In the conveyor belt, we'll get all the apples, and we want to first segregate the ripened apples and the unripened apples. If there are any unripened apples, we just need to remove them, and we need to only place the ripened apples. And you need to segregate them based upon the size of the apple and the quality of the apple. You need to put them in a specific box so that that can be shipped to other country for a more premium price. To do this, first you will segregate the apples, or first you will put them in the box, and later you will remove the ripened apples or unripened apples from the box. What you'll do, first you'll remove the ripened apples and unripened apples, right? Because that will make your work more easier to segregate based upon the quality of the apples. So that's what we need to do on the data as well. Whenever you have so much of data in your production, you'll not bring all the data first into your database and then you'll do the filtering, right? When you're running that query itself, you first need to filter that data. What I mean to say is, first you want to run a where condition, first remove that data. I mean, first get the data which is required and remove the unwanted data that's not required. S- For that purpose, we use where condition for filtering the data. But using of having condition instead of where, it will not serve the purpose. Here, it may sound like having order date greater than 2024 and where order date greater than 2024. It may sound correct for the beginner, but for an experienced professional and who knows how the data behaves, this is not the correct approach we need to follow, because having condition we'll just use to segregate the aggregated columns into the different chunks. If you see in this slide, where condition you are filtering the data, and later you're segregating the customer IDs, like where if the count is greater than 5, I mean having count greater than 5 means you're segregating all the customers whose customer IDs are greater than 5, right? count is greater than 5. So that is the main purpose of using where and having condition. So you can keep that apples example in your mind and correlate that with this having and where conditions in the SQL. Like as I said, using having instead of where, it's not a syntactical error. It is correct, but it is a big logical error which we need to avoid in the SQL queries. And these wrong results go unnoticed because sometimes using where instead of having, it can give correct result when you are working on a small data set. But when you move on to a big data set where you work on variety of data in the production, that will 100% throw different values on your dashboard, and it can be reported by the business. It will be reported by the business. So be very cautious when you're using where and having condition, just not because of the data quality, but also it can cost so much to the business in terms of finance as well. Because if you are not using a where condition, and if you're getting large number of data which is unwanted, then it can result in so much of cloud costs because you're using so much of memory there and you're processing so much of data which is unwanted. So whenever you're writing any condition, I mean any where and having condition, just filter the data and get whatever it is required. So that is a very common practice that we need to follow in all our production pipelines, right? And this is the sequence in which your SQL query gets the data when you're using having and where condition in your SQL. First, it will do the where, it will filter the records, then only it will do the aggregations based upon the having condition you have shared, right? So you need to follow this correct up. You need to, sorry, yeah, you need to follow this kind of sequence whenever you're using. First, you need to keep from, then you need to filter the records based upon where, then you need to group by, and if you want to get any specific records, then you need to apply having condition there. Okay, like as I said, these are the bugs which we cannot identify in the QA or dev sometimes, but it can be reported in the production, and it can make the business lose trust in your data. That's it for this video, guys, and let us meet with other topic in our next video. Okay, thank you.